You have heard about leveraged ETFs and how leveraged ETFs can enhance your investment returns, but they also come with huge risks. You are sort of right, but there's a great way to start using these products and enhance your investment returns in a safe way. If you like the content, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. My name is Daniel. Let's crack on. First, let's have a look at what is an ETF and what is a leveraged ETF. So the leveraged ETF's core function is to enhance the return or the losses of the underlying asset and the underlying product. The underlying product can be almost anything in financial terms. It can be crypto, it can be stocks and shares, it can be bonds, and it can be also indices as well. But it can go both ways, so it can go both up and it can go down as well. Let me give you a quick example. If you buy the 500 largest US companies index, that's called an S&P 500. And if you buy the ETF of that, so the product of that, which you can buy on the financial markets, it's called an S&P 500 index ETF. Your return will be identical with minor differences to the index's return. So if the S&P 500 index gains 15% in a year, then your return with the S&P 500 ETF will be approximately 15%. It's not going to be exactly 15% because of the tracking error, but it's absolutely fine, so it will be roughly around 15%. In the first half of 2024, the S&P 500 indices return was almost exactly 15%, that's why I used the example. So if we look at providers who provide you these type of ETFs, because if you go to a marketplace, you can buy several different other ETFs with the same underlying products. So for example, for the S&P 500, there are 5, 6, 7 or even 8 financial institutions who you can buy these ETFs from. So let's have two examples and let's have a look at what are the different returns for these two examples. Firstly, let's have the iShares S&P 500 indices ETF, which is for the first half of 2024, its return was slightly above 15%, as you can see here. And if you look at another ETF provider's S&P 500 ETF, for example, the Vanguard, you will see that its return was slightly below 15% for the same period. So, as you can see, there's a minor difference between its returns, between different providers, different ETFs returns, within the margin of safety and the margin of error, so it's absolutely fine. You can choose any of these products. Your return will be almost exactly as the underlying index, in this case, the S&P 500 index. With a 2 times leveraged S&P 500 ETF, if we follow through the same example as we did before, what do you think your return would have been for the first half of 2024? You are sort of right, it's going to be, or it should have been, around the ballpark of 30%, so 2 times 15% for the first half of 2024, and the exact figure was 27.89%. You know, we can agree that it's a pretty good return for 6 months in a stocks and shares environment. However, if we look at 2022, when the markets were down, significantly down, and throughout the year it was declining by 20%, the return would have been around minus 40%. So, you know, that's not so good. So the question is how to use the leverage ETFs to enhance your gains, but also to limit your losses. Well, the solution lies in timing. Obviously not market timing because that's almost impossible, but to know when to choose the leveraged ETFs and when not to choose those products. Ask yourself, what were the largest losses of the S&P 500 index in a single year? I'll let you know, in every 10 to 15 years, it's absolutely normal for the index to decline by 15 to 25%. Some are extreme years, and it could have been more as well, and we've seen more as well. However, what are the chances that if the S&P 500 index declined by 15%, it declined another 15%? Well, the chances are slim, and they even got smaller if the index declines by 20 to 25%. As the index goes down, so does the chance of further declines, which means the perfect time to buy leveraged ETFs are the times when the markets are down 10, 15, or even 25%. So let's have a look at an example of 2022. As you probably guessed it by now, I like to give out a lot of examples because I do believe that they are great tools to understand complex things. So let's get back to 2022. The markets were down by 12% by mid-March and they were down by 20% by June. So that was the exact time to start buying leveraged ETFs. Could you have timed the market right? No, you were not sure if they would go even further down, but the chances were on your side. The bottom of the market was actually around minus 26%, so to be exact, they did go down a further bit, but not extensively. And if you were patient and used these products, when the market were up in 2023 by almost 24%, your returns were almost double than that. On the other hand, the risk factor of these products increase as the markets go higher and higher. So if you buy leveraged ETFs when the markets are at their all-time highs, your risk literally explodes. Just as you would expect mathematically, when the markets go up by 30-35%, the chances that they will go up another 30% without any correction are quite slim. And you do not want to be in the markets with leveraged products when the market turns against you, because you will see your money dwindling away very, very fast. So the key to these leveraged products is the timing and to know when to use these products and when to stay away from these ones. So let me know in the comments if you've ever tried leveraged products before, and if you did, how did it go? Also, don't forget to subscribe and see you next time. Bye.